All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Where the river meets the haunted lake, and the fog rolls in before daybreak. Cannons rust and ghosts still bleed in the shadow of the maple trees. Drums of war still beat below.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. By the way, Fort George is in Niagara-on-the-Lake, right here in the Niagara region of Canada. And Niagara is very rich with history. This is where the War of 1812 was fought between the British and the American forces. Were separated Canada, the U.S. by the Niagara River. And throughout this part of Ontario, not only do we have vineyards, not only do we have wineries, wonderful restaurants, little quaint towns like Niagara-on-the-Lake, and then tourism centers like Niagara Falls, we have what I believe to be the friendliest area where you can come and spend some time. So if you're looking for a place to spend some time this summer, a simple getaway where you can get into a nice bed and breakfast, or you can, go into any of the major hotels. We have casinos, we have amusements, we have zoos, we have everything that you'd want to have in an area that you can come and visit. And that's right here in Niagara. There you go. I love Niagara. It's my home. In fact, we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And coming to you around the world on Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, streaming us at classic1220.ca. My guest this hour is a gentleman I've had the pleasure of having on the show before, and he is known as the psychic firefighter. And he is a world-renowned psychic medium and former firefighter with the New York City Fire Department, who has become known for his powerful ability to connect people with their loved ones in spirit. After years of serving on the front lines as a firefighter, Andrew embraced the lifelong intuitive abilities and began helping others finding healing, clarity, and messages from the other side through his readings. Andrew's work has been featured on Fox 2 Detroit and Fox 5 DC, and in major media outlets including the New York Post and Yahoo News. He's also appeared on the Australian paranormal television series Close Encounters Down Under, and he's featured in the multi-award-winning 2026 documentary Contact, which explores extraordinary human abilities and the mysteries of consciousness. Today, Andrew conducts private readings for clients around the world, helping people connect with spirit, understanding their life path, and find peace through meaningful evidence and messages from the other side. Now, if you'd like to contact Andrew after the show, X-Zone Nation, not now, after the show, his website is psychicfirefighter.com. That's www.psychicfirefighter.com. And Andrew, welcome back to the X-Zone. And how are things in Way Down Under?
Oh, Rob, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be on. What timing, and what a time to be alive and around with what's going on in the world.
What is going on, Andrew? I've never seen the world in such a state in all my life. You know, it seems that you don't know what's going to happen, where it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. There's so much uncertainty. The price of a barrel of oil tonight is at $144. And, you know, this affects the entire world. You know, you've got the president of the United States who said he was going to annihilate an entire civilization this morning if they didn't open up the Strait of Hormuz tonight by 8 o'clock. Pakistan worked very hard behind the scenes between Iran and the United States. They came to some sort of agreement where there's a 2-week ceasefire. By the way, I don't think it's going to last more than 24 hours. And you know, it's crazy, Andrew. What is going on?
Yeah, it is absolutely wild. I think President Trump at times might be thinking that he's playing Call of Duty, you know, online, and you know, a little loss of sense of touch of reality. Yeah, this is just absolutely nuts. So it is so important to, you know, stay grounded and realize that, right, in the last 24 hours, people were prepping for possibly extinction of a civilization in the area. I mean, oh my God, this is just unbelievable. So we got to do better as people. We got to do better than that, right?
I believe we can, Andrew. I've got a lot of faith in the human species, in the human spirit, and the way that humans love one another. It's these curveballs that the great beyond, or wherever we're deemed to, you know, respond to, or where we come from, throws us these curveballs to see if we're actually worthy of going on. How do we ground ourselves? How do we prepare for what's going to happen tomorrow?
I know that I have been through similar type things in life through growing up as a kid around, you know, the 9/11 aftermath, being the son of a New York City firefighter, and then all sorts of conflicts that have happened over the years. And I noticed that after these things happen, there seems to be like this mini spiritual revolution where people get into psychics, mediumship, meditation. So I notice without a doubt an increase of people reaching out to me wanting to learn meditation just to stay more grounded in the present moment and get rid of that monkey mind and that back chatter in the mind. So anyone that's listening, absolutely looking into some sort of meditation or meditative practice out there will absolutely help personally. We may not be able to change the external of what's going on around us or that conflict, but at least internally, I notice my response and reaction time is definitely more grounded when I'm meditating daily.
Before we go on, Andrew, I want to thank you very much for your service as a firefighter. Firefighters, God bless you guys. You know, I would imagine that the majority of people listening to the show tonight remember when the New York Fire Department and the members of the New York Police Department, Port Authority, and other first responders ran into the Twin Towers as everyone else was running out. So thank you very much for your service, my friend.
You're welcome. I remember seeing that, and the first thought that went through my head when I saw the planes hit the World Trade Center was, I wish I was in there to help. And that may not be a normal thought or a normal feeling for people, but I knew at that moment, no doubt about it, that that is what I wanted to do and I wanted to help. And that was just a drive and a feeling that I had. So yeah, that was a very monumental, important day for me personally as well.
Well, having the pleasure of knowing you for the time that I have, I can understand why you felt that way. That's why I thank you for your service, because not everyone becomes a firefighter. Not everyone becomes a police officer. Not everyone becomes a member of the EMS. You know, it takes a special kind of person to do all that.
And I know, Rob, too, I know after certain conflicts we've had, sometimes firefighters get misidentified as being law enforcement, which they're not, is a big difference. But some people in the public don't know the difference, or some people that just want to harm somebody don't know the difference. And I know personally, we've walked out of the firehouse to either lug nuts on the tires of the car being loosened or
Oh
off
my
as a
God.
retaliatory type thing. So we've had bottles thrown at us. Personally, I've had steak knives dropped at my head sometimes
Whoa.
from I don't know who. Somebody dropped one in the projects one night from 18 stories up. Somebody dropped a steak knife and it landed right next to me. I wasn't wearing a helmet. Yeah. Yeah. So just part of the job sometimes.
Part of the job. Andrew, when did you first realize that you had psychic abilities, and what was that moment like when you realized, hey, I've got this very special gift?
Yeah. So in 1993, I made a pact with my grandmother that one day, whenever she passed, that if she came through and gave me a sign, I would share that with everyone. And basically, 18 years later, around 2010, she passed away.
Hmm.
And that led me to track down a psychic and learn meditation. And while I was learning meditation in a little studio, all of a sudden I was sitting with someone trying to give them a psychic reading. I never had tried to do this. And all of a sudden I got this tingle up my spine, the hair on my neck stood up, and boom, I started to see these images coming in. Now, I had never tried to do something like that prior in my life,
Right.
but I thought at first, is this just like a coincidence or
Hmm.
what is going on here? I didn't really believe it at first, but doing it repetitively over and over, I knew there's no way I could see the things that I'm seeing without this being something greater than what we're observing in this present moment. So, yeah, it was fascinating. And still to this day, when I do it every day, it's still just as amazing every time.
In your opinion, what is the biggest misconception people have about psychic mediums?
So I know that unfortunately there are some psychics out there that have been public figures or been on
Hmm.
TV and have either given false predictions or bad information or said something would happen on a certain day and it doesn't. So I am very skeptical when I hear exact date and times for things because, like with humans, we have a way of causing effects. I think that sometimes when a psychic sees information, they're giving the best they can in that moment.
Hmm.
And it sometimes can be subject to change. Yes, because if I tell you something and you don't want to do that after, well, that changes the outcome. So I know one thing though, if I really feel something, I was on a podcast a few months ago, the Jeff Mara show. I was on there around November and I stated live on the air there. I said, after February 17th, there was going to be an incident in New York City, a really bad incident, like a New York City subway or something like that. And after February 17th, that's when someone tried to light off two IEDs.
Oh my
So I had
God.
this feeling. I didn't know exactly when or where, but I knew after that date something was going to occur. And it was like a week or two after February 17th that someone tried to light the IEDs off. Now, thank God they did not detonate.
Was that outside the mayor's mansion?
Yes, outside of Gracie
Ah.
Mansion. Exactly. Yeah. So for the last year,
Hmm.
I kept feeling something was coming to New York, but it had to be after February 17th. I just kept getting that date for some reason. I didn't know exactly when. So it was pretty eerie, and my hair stood up when that incident happened. And I'm grateful that no one got really hurt from that.
Andrew, please stand by. We've got to take our first break. Exxon Nation. Our guest this hour is Andrew. Andrew, how do you pronounce your family name?
RADZIEWICZ.
RADZIEWICZ. He's known better off and around the world as PsychicFirefighter.com. We'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
They died in battle, but they fight.
She walked the streets with open eyes, a poet's heart, a mother's smile. Carried love like a quiet flame, never chased fortune, never fame. She held her children, held her faith, wrote her truth on fragile days. A gentle soul in a restless land, trying hard to understand. They say fear, pull the trigger tight, but fear don't own the truth, alright. When cameras roll and stories bend, we ask where justice truly ends. Say her
Welcome back, everyone. That song is called Justice for Renee Nicole Good. Remember her, that young lady who lost her life in Minnesota? Yeah. The next song we have coming back from the next break is He Held a Phone, and that's the ballad of Alex Preddy. This is our way of, trying to get people to remember that these people, both Renee and Alex, they were just exercising their rights. They weren't breaking the law. This world is going to hell in a handbasket. Up is down, down is up, right is left, left is right, good is bad, bad is good. My goodness. What a way to try and survive. I don't even know if survival's the right word. I just find it very confusing, and I remember when I was a younger guy, we never had these problems. Sure, we had political issues, but we didn't have presidents of the United States giving someone a ultimatum that if they didn't do what he wanted, they were going to wipe them out of civilization. They were just going to wipe them off the face of the earth. Something is going on, and I can't put my finger on it. All I can say, Exonation, is believe in your fellow man. Believe in your religious philosophy. Love the person that you're with. Give your child a kiss goodnight. Give your child a hug. Get them to put the iPhone down or the iPad down. Spend quality time with your child, with your partner, with your husband, with your wife, with your grandson, your granddaughter. We've lost the ability to communicate. We've lost the ability to spend quality time with people. You go to a restaurant, any restaurant, and just sit there and watch what happens when a family comes in and sits down at a table. They don't start talking. No, what do? They pull out their iPhones and they start texting, or they start, browsing, instead of talking about things that are important to them in their lives with their mom, their dad, or whoever. That's just the way that I look at it, Exonation, and I'd love to hear from you. Send me an email, exon@exonradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Alex RADZIEWICZ, and he's known as the Psychic Firefighter. His website is psychicfirefighter.com. And Andrew, how do you actually connect with loved ones in spirit during a reading? What does it feel like to you?
So it's like if you had run into a cousin that you hadn't seen in 20 years, but the last time you saw him was at Christmas and you had a great time together. It feels like that. So I basically just sit quiet. And when I sit quiet, that is the only way that spirits or any information can come through. It has to come in through silence. So once I'm in that silent space, it's basically like changing a radio station, going from 97 to 98 FM. That's all I'm doing internally. And then when I do that, then I'm getting access to information that isn't normally here. So it's just a slightly adjustment of my frequency.
So where is this information that you're able to retrieve? Is it the Akashic Records? Is it some other place in this dimension or another dimension where there's a massive library?
I think that all of us are like giant supercomputers. So if somebody is physically next to me, I can look at them and get a reading or information or just a physical location, anything, any place. And it's non-local. So that is why I don't need to physically be with somebody. Back in the day, old school, the way we used to do readings was on the phone and not in person. And you wouldn't even know what the person looked like. So it was amazing, but the connection was just as good. I did it the other day. I was on the Z Morning Zoo 103.5 in Toronto, Canada, doing readings here from Australia, reading people calling in, and same thing. I don't know what they look like. They didn't see me. I didn't see them, but I read them no problem. So the connection is non-local wherever you go.
Has there ever been a time when someone has asked you to connect with someone on the other side and you've made the connection and the person on the other side says, no, I don't want to talk to them?
So the only thing that will come up sometimes is if I'm sitting with somebody and they're not expecting that person. So for example, Aunt Sally might come through and they want, Uncle Jim. So Aunt Sally might pop through because she's got something way more important to talk about right now. And sometimes people will go, oh, well, I'm not really concerned with my Aunt Sally. I just want Uncle Jim. That's just not how it works. Whatever's there, I just relay whatever is there. My job is to pass it along. I will not tell you what you want to hear. I will tell you what you need to hear because it may not make sense in the moment, but it always clicks eventually. It always makes sense. And I think the message is that we're here. We're always here. We don't go anywhere. We just slightly change. We just look different after we transition. And we're in this energetic form. But the love, the connection of love never ends. And that vibration is always strong eternally.
Has there ever been a time when someone has asked you a question and you've been able to communicate with the other side, and the other side has given you the information, but it's been such a negative response that you don't want to pass it on to the person?
Yeah. So however you are here, right? If you got a friend or a
Okay.
relative in there, a very positive person, that's how they're going to come through. If you have somebody that's very negative or down or on the other side, that's exactly how they're going to come through. So their energy should be exactly the same. That as above, so below. I think that expression is what they were trying to get at, is that after you pass, your energy, your essence, your aura is exactly the same. So when you say it in a certain tone or like a lower negative tone, the person sitting there will go, oh my God, yeah, that's my dad or that's my mom, definitely. So you just relay it as is, you know what I mean? I don't get involved with the way it's said. I think it's important to just keep the energy consistent with the way the person really was. And they will express directly the same way. It's always like that.
As there must be one reading that you've done for someone that has really touched you like no other reading has. And if you have, can you share it with us?
Yeah, I mean, there's several. So whenever a reading comes through, of course, where it involves a young child,
Oh my gosh.
I'd say there is nothing more incredible to witness than a parent or parents I've had come together that have lost a child, that where they have not shared intimate details with anyone. People are not online, nothing like that. I had a couple come and they said they went to several psychics over the years. No one could tell them the date, time, and how their child had transitioned previously. I didn't know that info previously. I read them, and when I shared what I shared, they said, well, Andrew, we had never revealed this. We had just gone driving around looking at other psychics all throughout New York State and the tri-state area, but you were the only one that truly communicated because you described exactly the moment and time that they passed, which we didn't share those details with anybody. So it was incredible because I say the gift is not what I do. The gift really is being a witness to seeing someone connect with their loved one when they know this is real. There's no way anyone could know this info. They didn't share it with anyone. There is no better thing to experience as a human than to see that love reconnect.
Being a firefighter in New York City, how did your other firefighters and your friends react to you being able to be a psychic medium?
So I know a lot of guys from my dad's era. My dad got on in 1981, and he stayed on 35 years. So he
God
was
bless him.
that yeah, he was retired, happy and healthy, thank God. And that crew, that era, that was that 9/11 era. So I know after 9/11, a lot of guys, I had heard stories that guys were seeing the apparition of guys they used to work with. They would literally see the apparition in the firehouse, whether it was in late at night in the TV room, the bunk room, the kitchen. I heard this story so many times. So when my story came out or I started speaking about it, I had more guys contact me globally, firemen from all over the world, telling me stories that they had encountered from coworkers that passed at work at a fire that were coming through, giving a message, basically saying, I'm here, I'm still here, it's okay. Like we just change, we just look different, but I'm okay, I'm not suffering or anything. So it was amazing, really. Like anything, you always get guys that bust chops, but that's part of
Sure.
being a fireman. But deep down, guys really did respect it, and guys came to me for some really intimate things that they had experienced that they could never make sense of. That they said, Raz, there's no way you're lying about this, because I know, because I've seen this kind of thing too. So I
Mhm.
believe in it, and I know what you're doing is real, man, because you wouldn't do something like that. You wouldn't just make this up. I've seen something strange I can't make sense of, and it's a global reality now, right? You could turn on the news or go online and see hundreds of these stories.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Um, I've got about 40 seconds before I have to go to my break. But you were talking before about mom and dad coming to ask you to connect with their child on the other side. How do you deal with that? You know, like I'm sure that you're a family man and you've got kids, nephews, nieces who are children. How do you deal with the connection that you have to make with a child on the other side?
So, and it all connects back to when I was a firefighter. I go on 911 calls,
Hmm.
and it was unresponsive, and you don't know age, sex, race, anything. You're just running in there, and you go in, and sometimes it's a very young child, and you have to separate yourself, because if you don't, you can't do that job. So from a very young age, maybe it was ingrained in me already, but once I physically did it, I was just able to separate myself when I was there. And then outside of work, when work was over, I took a lot of pride in taking care of myself, whether it was physically,
Yeah.
exercising and doing meditation, because if you don't, there are a lot of negative ways to cope with things that will tax up and add up on a young body.
All
So
right,
I still do the same things.
stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation, Andrew RADZIEWICZ is our special guest. He's known as the Psychic Firefighter. His website, www.psychicfirefighter.com. And we'll both be back on the other side of this break, so don't go away.
Headlines ever could. A mother, a writer, a human being, not the villain they were seeing. Say her name.
In the bitter Minneapolis cold, where snow and winter meet, Alex Pretty walked with open hands to stand beside the weak. A nurse who spent his life to help care for those in need. Not a soldier, not a threat, just trying to do good deeds. They called him names, they made their claims before the truth was known. But when the camera's on his side, Alex Pretty held a phone. He held a phone, not a gun, and just with every breath he drew, he meant to help, to calm the fear, not start a fight he never knew. They shot him down.
Exonation, our guest this hour is Andrew RADZIEWICZ. And Andrew is way in Australia. And before the show, you were telling me that you live on the beach. And what's the water like there? Do you have a lot of white sharks?
Well, once in a while they'll come by, but no, not too much. It's beautiful where I'm. The waves aren't too crazy over here on my
Oh,
end.
that is super. You know, speaking about the beach, when you're out on the beach, or if you're doing your groceries or taking a plane from Australia back home to New York, do you ever get spirit that says, "Hey, Andrew, that guy there, you've got to give them this message"? Does that happen to you?
So years ago, I felt, right, when I was figuring this out,
Hmm.
right, that would happen where things would come in. And then I learned that unless somebody comes up to me or it's like a direct blood relative, I don't get involved. Now, if I get information that this person is in harm in this second, of course, I got to make that decision and handle that.
Hmm.
But if it's just a message from somebody, I do not do that because you just don't know. Living in Coney Island, Brooklyn, where I lived before I lived in Australia, if I walked up to a person on the beach there and told them something about one of their deceased relatives, they may not want to hear that and they may not react so nice.
I guess not. Okay. Have you ever received the messages from the other side that completely shocked you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I have heard variations from other psychics of what it truly is like on the other side. And I think one of the most shocking things, I am skeptical, of course, of people's stories, right? What it really is like, what it
Hmm.
really isn't like. I think the most shocking thing at first was that literally that when they speak, they can speak to us, but it sounds like they're at the bottom of a swimming pool. It's garbled. So when I'm channeling and doing my thing, sometimes I'll hear this little garbling and it's them trying to talk. I don't know why it sounds like that, but it sounds like they're at the bottom of a pool and, it's like, Andrew Richard, like that. So I found that really fascinating that they can speak sometimes.
Hmm. Now, the loved ones who are on the other side, Andrew, do they watch over us?
Yeah. So anyone listening, when you're doing something and I'm about to do this or maybe do this, and I know I probably shouldn't,
Hmm.
but then you go and do it anyway, and you're like, oh, why did I do that? That's it. I feel that that is them. They're trying to intervene to basically say, hey, let's try to limit and minimize as much trauma and stress in your life. And you probably don't want to do that. Yet, I don't think they're just going to directly show up and say, don't, you can't do that. Maybe if your life is on the line or something like that. But they want you to exercise your free will. And I think ultimately, yeah, they want to see you happy and vibrant, but really, it is truly up to us, I think, to make the decision of what we're going to entertain ourselves with or not.
So, why do you think that some spirits actually come through very clear while others don't?
I think that it's really interesting. So some people here on Earth that I knew that were psychic, like
Hmm.
literally psychic, have transition and they have not come through at all. So I would think it would be the opposite. And then I have known people who said, "Oh, my mom was not into any of this." And then when I do a reading, oh my God, she's coming through crystal clear with this new awareness. So I don't know what happens when you pass because I am not there. But my understanding, the best I can interpret this is after you pass, there is some sort of review or life type review. Now, that can take time.
Hmm.
What is time? There's no time where they are. So it might seem here like it's weeks or months, but to them, it's like a day. You know what I mean? I don't know the time dilation difference. So if they're ready to come through, though, some come through right away. And the others, yeah, I've had people come to me and the first year or two, it's not happening with their mom. And then all of a sudden, 3 years later, their mom comes through.
Is there a difference between a spirit that you communicate with and a ghost that people may have apparitions of or that may haunt a location?
Yeah, I think that there are two types. So I think that there are literally our loved ones,
Hmm.
and then there are interdimensional beings. That's different. That is something that is stuck between here and wherever we go. And they have this ability to shift and change their appearance. Whereas your loved one, they'll not do that. They will come in their real form all the time.
Do loved ones try to communicate with you? For example, um, if you're driving in your car or if you're at home late at night watching the television or if you're having a dream, do they try to get you to understand that they're trying to communicate with you?
Yeah, definitely. The easiest, anyone listening that's never done this and wants to give it a whirl, what I recommend is right before you go to sleep
Hmm.
or right when you wake up. If you are dozing off that in between state or right when you wake up, that in between hypnagogic state, that is the state I am in when I make contact. So if you are having an interaction or something as you're dozing off with a loved one, or right when you're waking up, you said, oh my God, I was just dreaming about them. Yes, I believe that is genuine. That is exactly how it works when I'm doing it. That's what it feels like.
So it's like the consciousness that the spirits reside in.
Yeah, that's what they've told me is like as you're dozing off and you're relaxed, but yet you know you're still awake and a little alert.
Hmm.
They've expressed that is the frequency. That's what it feels like when you pass.
Why is it that some spirits stay behind and others go to the light?
There's an expression about not letting go, and there's a great movie, Jacob's Ladder. And in Jacob's Ladder, the dentist tells the guy, it's a great quote, but he basically says that if you don't learn to let go when you pass on, you know, you'll see demons pulling, pulling you into hell. But if you learn to let go here on earth while you are still here,
Hmm.
then those demons actually turn into angels that are freeing you from everything. And I think that is
Ah,
so important if you are holding on to anything. And I don't mean you're reaching out to somebody to make that amend and they're telling you to get lost. No, if you keep your side of the street clean and you do the best you can here and you really don't hold on to things and you literally let go, attachment to nothing, you have nothing to worry about when you pass. But if you are holding on to something and you are not making your side of the street clean, when you pass,
hmm.
you'll still be trying to fix that on the other side with the person that's here on earth.
Explanation, if you'd like to contact Andrew for a one-on-one consultation, his website is www.psychicfirefighter.com. Do you think anyone can develop the talent or the gift that you have?
Absolutely. I mean, if I was to do this, I didn't grow up from day one saying I'm going to do this. It wasn't like anything like that at
Hmm.
all. But I figured, hey, if I can try this and just see what happens, yeah. If anyone has the patience to meditate and think outside the box, give it a whirl. I have seen a lot of people do this. It's just not everyone goes as far as I chose to go. Once I did this, I felt that this is truly a calling. Just like an electrician,
Hmm.
there's some great electricians and there's some that aren't that good.
That's true. I know both. Uh,
Yeah.
um, how can someone validate the feelings that they're getting?
So I think that as you remember a loved one here, how you feel and you
Hmm.
think about them when they pass, that feeling should be the same when they're around or the psychic is around. You will notice that these feelings will come up. Like I've had clients tell me, I can feel my mom's presence. I know it's her. I could smell her perfume. I could sense her essence. That is a big thing. They have a way. I don't understand all of this stuff. I'm not a scientist,
Hmm.
but they have a way of turning lights on and off. They have a way of making their perfume or their cologne smell in the room, and they have a way of their cigar or cigarette smoke appearing in the room or scenting, smelling throughout the house. I have heard that hundreds of times from people and I've experienced it.
Wow. So, based on the many readings you have done, what happens to us when we pass?
I feel the first thing that happens is you're there literally witnessing from a third party perspective. Picture being in the corner of the room looking down
Okay.
and you are seeing your passing. Then you see your preparation, whatever your family decides to do with you, coffin,
Hmm.
cremation, whatever. You see that. And then your energy, part of your energy stays around. And I believe other parts of the soul. The ancient Egyptians said there basically were around 7 parts of the soul and one stayed behind and the others went on and moved on. I think it's something like that. One stays that can communicate, and then the other parts start to move on and go to other realities. But is that one part that stays that the psychic or the loved one or the relative that can tap into or get messages from?
So, all right, let me just try to figure this out here. So, if somebody has moved to the light, can you still connect with them?
Yeah, because there's always, my understanding is that there's always one part of the soul that
Ah.
lingers around. Always. The other parts might move on to heaven or
Hmm.
whatever your belief system is. I feel, once again, heaven or hell is in the mind, it's not
Right.
physical. And if you talk to people right now that are living on earth, they will tell you they're living in hell right now. And I believe that.
Yeah. So do
I don't
I.
doubt it. I don't doubt it at all.
Hmm.
So it's very psychological, whatever this thing is. But this essence, the aura, the soul, right? The mystery of whatever that is. Yes, there's just so much proof in studying that they've done is that part of that is able to, act as a medium or an information source to people.
Do you think a person's religious beliefs play a part in the ability to be a psychic medium?
It can negate you, or I guess it could, make you not want to do this, or you get into this and then, you go to church and
Right.
somebody that I've had this happen. I've had this happen personally. I've gone to church with my mom or whoever. I don't personally go, but I've gone to church and somebody says, "Oh, don't you do that stuff?" And, how does that fit into all this? And, I said, it's not about that. And I can tell you, not one time, Rob, not once, nobody. I have done hundreds, thousands of readings now. No one has ever come through on the other side and said to me or expressed to me that they are with Christ or any religious figure or anything like that. All they say is, "I'm right here. I haven't gone anywhere."
Andrew, stand by, my friend. We've got to take our final break. And Exonation, once again, if you'd like to contact Andrew for a one-on-one consultation, his website is psychicfirefighter.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and Andrew and I will return on the other side of this break as we continue live from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, CanCon, X Zone Broadcast Network, and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, right here in St. Catharines, who stream us around the world on classic1220.ca.
Care for those in need, not a soldier, not a threat, just trying to do good deeds. They called him names, they made their claims before the truth was known. But when the camera's on his side, Alex pretty.
Well, that's got to say Humpty Trumpty took a fall. That's for... Well, you're an asbility man. I'm going to win I want to be in pizza. No, Humpty Trumpty took a fall. Oh, it's the only way to bury ya. Humpty Trumpty sat on a wall, pointing at maps like he owned them all. Said, "Greenland's big, it's white, it's cold. I'll buy the thing just like I'm told." He waved a check, he made a grin. Forgot to ask the people living in. Turns out nations aren't for sale, no matter how loud the fairy tale. Humpty Trumpty took a fall when Denmark said no deal at all. All the bluster, all the brag, slid downhill on an icy flag. Humpty Trumpty learned too late, you can't buy countries. Checkmate. He huffed, he puffed, he threatened might, posted memes deep into the night, said I'll take it one way or another. World said, buddy, read the cover. Greenland laughed beneath the snow, NATO sighed and whispered no. Diplomacy's not monopoly, you don't pass go with ego fee. Oh, Humpty Trumpty took a fall from the tallest wall of all the tweets and tough guy talk cracked like ice beneath his walk. Humpty Trumpty hit the ground, ownership dreams officially drowned. No receipt, no refund, no empire built on frozen ground. Oh, Humpty Trumpty took a fall, the loudest flop the world recalls. Gold-plated dream, zero control, turns out you can't own the North Pole. Humpty Trumpty, lesson learned, maps aren't deeds, and ice gets burned. Humpty Trumpty left the wall, still claiming it was rigged and all, but Greenland stayed right where it stood, independent, free, and not for sale. Period. Humpty Trumpty. Period.
And welcome back, everyone. That was Humpty Trumpty. Gotta have a laugh once in a while in life. Andrew RADZIEWICZ is our special guest. He's known worldwide as the Psychic Firefighter. His website is psychicfirefighter.com. Hey, Andrew, why don't you give me a reading? You and I were talking about it during the break.
Sure. So when I see things, I will see things that you have done or experienced or people close to you have gone through. So it's interesting. The very first thing that I am seeing, they're showing me my mother, and this is how this works. They'll show me things about my family that relate to you as something you've been through. So my mother growing up was built for this stage, okay? So they're showing me somebody on stage, a performer, and specifically, they're showing me the Beatles. Now, I don't know what era, if that kind of is in the era you grew up in or around, but this is either the Beatles, someone pretending to be, or imitating, or either doing Beatles covers or something like that. So let me ask you, Rob, is that something you would have done, or someone close to you would have done something like that growing up?
I did that.
Oh, wow.
I was part
Okay.
of a Beatle cover band going back to about 73, 74. The group was called the Cell Beat. That's Beatles mixed
Wow.
up. And I played the part of John Lennon.
Wow. Wow. And let me ask you this,
Sure.
Rob. Close to you and your family, was there someone that served in the military or law enforcement? Not you. I know maybe you had done that previously, but besides you.
Yes, my Uncle Joe.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, same thing. That was coming through. So how this works, like I said, rare, very, very rarely. Sometimes I will hear a name or a
Hmm.
tone or a letter that's very, very rare. But the imagery they give me. So, for example, my grandfather, whose name was Jack, he served in the military. Boom, I was seeing that. So, letter J, J connected to military service. You said this is your uncle? Is that mom or dad's side?
Mum's side.
Mom's side. Okay. And your mother, let me ask you this. Would your mom have had a sister?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So same thing that just showed me they're putting the arm out. So that means contemporary. So on the level, right? Another on the level, another contemporary. Besides the Uncle Joe, was there
Hmm.
somebody else with that letter J in your family around?
Okay, let me see. J. Not that I can think of.
Okay. Because they were just showing me a double J. So you,
Yes, there was. My cousin Joe.
oh, wow. This is amazing. Yes. The same
Yeah.
thing. This is on your level. So I was just about to say, usually it's a cousin or, or a sibling, something
Yeah.
like that on the level. So your cousin Joe. Wow. 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 And Rob, you were a police officer as well as something law enforcement previously?
Yeah, I was a police officer. Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. In Canada?
Yep.
Okay. And this is just interesting. So when I get dates, times, numbers, things like that, they are usually very relevant
Hmm.
to birthdays, times. There's usually synchronicity. So meaning there can be multiple things with these numbers or these dates or this time. So one thing I would pay attention to, the number 5 is coming through very strong. So uh, date, month, either adding up to 5. So 14, 23, or that number 5. I would pay attention to that. That is a huge theme for your life. That could be, like I said, birthday, something like that. But the number 5 as well means travel. So with what you're
Yeah.
doing, obviously with your job profession, traveling, does that number 5 or 14 or 23 ring a bell? Anything like that around you?
Number 5 is very significant.
Wow. That I mean, that's amazing. We've talked a bunch of times. We've never talked about anything like that
No,
before.
no, we
So
haven't.
that's and never doubt that, right? The 5 is the number of travel. It's the number of good looks. So of course, there you go. That's a good one
Ha
there. It is also the number of fertility and life, which is why you're doing what you do, right? You have people like here. I'm from Australia. You have people from all over the world gravitating to you, Rob. That is why, it's because of the 5 energy that is all around you. I would say too, if you look at, around you and outside of your family,
Hmm.
you will see the 5 synchronicity from birthday, month, things like that. 14, 23, or 5 is all around you. I could see it glowing. So that's very interesting. And what about the month of February? Is that ringing a bell with anything? February? And like I said, usually multiple things are synchronicity with that month. Anything in February?
Not that I can recall.
Um,
February.
okay, just no birth dates, knowing that born in February.
No, not that I can.
Okay. I would say then, okay, if you look after it, it doesn't make sense, then I just pay attention to that once again going forward. I'm certain with the dates and times that I see, but they would show me February and then that 5 energy coming through. And Rob, let me ask you this. What part of, is there a part of, I'm not too familiar with this in Canada, but is there a part of Canada that's French or some French connection with you or something like that?
Certainly.
What is that? Explain, because I don't know. I'm not too familiar with that. What
I'm
does that
actually
mean, French?
I'm actually from Montreal, Quebec, and I speak French.
Oh, God. Wow. That's amazing. Because I
And
had my next,
and I was in the police force in Montreal.
oh, wow. See, this is amazing. So when I grew up in Long Island, Floral Park, my next door neighbors, all I remember is they were French.
Hmm.
They were 100% French. And they said their dad was from Canada. And I'm like, what? There's nothing in Canada that's French. They would just, yeah, I'm like, what do you mean Canada? There's French people? Get out of here, bro. That's France.
Yeah.
So wait, there's a section or an area in Montreal you're saying that is French or something like that?
Actually, the province of Quebec is the is mostly French. Is the majority of the province is French in Montreal, just like
Wow.
there are parts of the province of New Brunswick that are French as well.
Wow. Let me ask you this, Rob. I know
Sure.
you said you played John Lennon. Did you play any
Yep.
instruments as well, too? Because they were just showing me some instruments popping up.
Yeah, and in fact, I have a Rickenbacker guitar, just
Wow.
like John Lennon played.
Wow. 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 Yeah, this is cool. Like every time anyone sits with me, it's always something different. Sometimes it's just like immediate family.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's something about their past. And bringing this up, right? I'm sure, I don't assume, but this is a positive thing, right? It's a positive memory. It's something that, must click from childhood or when you were growing up to, wow, it brings up that good thing, which the relatives or people I talked
Yeah.
about before, that's how this works. They start showing me these things. That's how this stuff works. Sometimes a name will come through or just an event, but it's all ultimately connected to them or a memory they have, something they witnessed, or even if somebody passed already,
Yeah.
they don't miss a beat. They see everything that's going on. So, wow, literally, I mean, it's amazing you're doing what you're doing now, but literally you were meant for the stage, just like my mom. My mom was meant for the stage. She didn't get a chance. She ended up being a young mom and being a teacher,
Right.
but her passion was being on that stage singing and tap dancing.
Well, it's funny that you talk about your mom being on stage. My mom used to play bit parts on television shows that were produced in Montreal at CFCF TV. She played on A People's Conflict, Doctor's Diary, What's Your Move, or It's Your Move.
Wow.
And I used to go down to the studio with my mom when she was playing these parts, and I was more interested in the technical aspect of what was going on compared to my mom. Another connection I had with the media was my mom worked at radio station 980 AM, I believe, CKGM in Montreal. And years later, doing this show, I happened to have a guest on the show who was the owner of CKGM at the time my mother was working there, and he remembered my mom.
Wow. See, whenever things come up, it's channeling. So I'm
Yeah.
just relaying whatever I'm seeing, and there's no coincidence. Same thing. When I was a kid, I used to go see my mom on stage. That was what she always said. She got a full scholarship from high school
Wow.
to be an actress. Then she got pregnant, and she's like, I just couldn't do that. So she'd teach, and then at night she was singing, tap dancing, and my whole life,
Oh, wow.
I always would watch her from the ground, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
My mom is on stage, right? I mean, oh my god, that's so
I
cool.
can associate with that 100%, my friend.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm so glad we got to do this because I didn't know any of that about you. So, yeah, wow. That's a whole nother element.
You did a great job, and
Thank you.
And you and I have not talked about this at any time.
No.
And
I want to be clear. We've never.
And a lot of the
spoken any this.
information that you have asked me is not available anywhere except from the other side, like you just did.
That's it. There has to be, when someone sits, there has to be things that nobody could know. That is a random abstract thing, but intimate to the scenario or the people around of what I'm describing. There's a reason I reference my mom in the stage so many times. There is a connection with your mom too. That's so fascinating. Wow.
First of all, I want to thank you so much for that. It means a lot to me. And we've got about a minute and a half left. What is your final message, or what would you like to share with the X-Zone Nation tonight?
Expect the unexpected. That's what I can tell you, right? People around us will always surprise us. But I notice one thing: to stay grounded in these crazy moments, go out and find your tribe. With the internet, it is a blessing or a curse. It's how you utilize it. I have found the most amazing people in my small little tribe from the internet. I met my wife from Facebook. So you never know what can, right? What can or can happen, right? Just like you can go and find something bad, but trust that intuition, train that intuition. Stay prepared. Do not just wait. Do not just wait for something to happen. Have a plan. Stay prepared. And if there's that thing deep down that you always wanted to do, whether it was being on the stage, being a podcaster, being cop farm, whatever it is, if you still have the means to do that, go out there and give it your best to do that. Because I know one thing: there are people waking up today, Rob, and their partner or their loved one passed away overnight, and they were not planning on it, and their whole life just changed, and they don't get a second chance.
Andrew, thank you so much for joining us tonight, my friend. I look forward to the next time you join us. And X-Zone Nation, if you'd like to contact Andrew, what we did tonight was 100% above board. Give him a call or go online and visit psychicfirefighter.com. Andrew, take care of yourself. My very best to your family.
Thank you. Same here, Rob. Thanks for everyone listening.
You take care, my friend. And X-Zone Nation, I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Once again, if you'd like to contact Andrew for a one-on-one consultation, psychicfirefighter.com. We'll be back. Don't go away.
In the bitter Minneapolis cold, where snow and winter meet, Alex Pretty walked with open hands to stand beside the weak. A nurse who spent his life to help care for those in need. Not a soldier, not a threat, just trying to do good deeds. They called him names, they made their